Okay, so in this video we're gonna have a look on how to motion track your scene, because a lot of people have having problem motion tracking in Blender. So I'm using the footage for the sake of the tutorial. I will put the link to the same footage in the description down below if you want to check it out. So we have loaded our footage into our VFX tab, and now it's time to set up some rendering setting. Go to color management and make it standard, then come to output settings. Just change the frame rate to something like 30 frame per second, because we can see it here. Okay, so now it's time to set up some stuff. So first we're gonna click prefetch. It will load the footage uh, into the RAM, so it will be played fluently. And I'm gonna click detect features, and it will add so many trackers out there. I'm just gonna make the threshold low to add more trackers. Maybe you can add some there and there. I'm just gonna click add right here, and I think I gotta add one of the tracker here. I have to replace it like that, and let me just click it, the add, and move it around until it gets on this black spot right there. Maybe that one also. And okay, so let me just add one to that point, to that contrast point, like that. So we will have a great understanding of what we are working with. I'm just gonna add one of it to here. Okay, so we have an off tracker. Let me just click A to select all of them and change the motion type to affine. Maybe we can go for affine, click normalize and track forward. So as you can see, we have tracked it. Now it's time to click detect features, and it will re-add another trackers. I'm just going to click add and add some more trackers into the scene until we okay, so let me just control Z, and let me just click control L to lock them, so we can re-add more trackers later on. I'm just going to click detect features, and it will add more trackers into it. And now we can add another tracker into the ground, like that and like that. Let me just click add and add one more here, one more to that net, and one more here. Okay, so let me just click A and track backward, so it will track backward. Okay, so now it's time to go to solve. Let me just click keyframe, so let the blender uh, decide what to select. I'm just gonna turn this on and just click solve camera motion, and it will start working on it. Let's wait for these to complete, and after that I hope we will get a good solve error. And let's wait for these. It might take a while. It's all according to your footage. If the footage is a high res footage, it's gonna take ages, but if it's a small resolution and it doesn't have so many trackers like I have, then it's not gonna take so much time. But let the blender decide how the scene is. And if the tracking is perfect, you can add an object to any place in the footage, and it is something really good about Blender. We can also use Adobe After Effects for this process, but it's very, not very accurate. I think it might be good and precise for other user, but I think Blender have a perfect motion tracking model. So as you can see, we got an error of 1.27, which is not good. So how to fix it? Now, as you can see, we got so much moving down, but actually it's moved like that. Some of them are going out of the way, so let me just delete all of them that doesn't obey very well. So I'm gonna select them by this curve and delete X and delete all of those that don't work for us. So by doing so, we can make the error very less, and it can be a good sign for our track. And now if we're gonna select them one by one and make them like, make them very large number that moves up and down. Okay, so before doing anything else, let me just come up to cleanup and filter tracks. Okay, let me just click A, select all of them, and control L, sorry, L, uh alt L, yeah, alt L is going to unlock all of those. And I'm gonna click filter tracks, As you can see, we have 42 problematic tracks with the error of 5, track threshold 5, I think. Yeah, and I think I'm gonna make the number do a little bit higher. Okay, something like that. And let me just delete all of those. That makes a very huge problem. And again, we're gonna click solve camera motion, and this time it will not take so much time because we don't have so many problematic trackers. We just have some of the good tracker that behave well and that are well tracked to the end. So I hope for the best to get happen, because if the tracking is perfect, uh, it's a good sign, to make any kind of scene in 3D with just motion tracking. So I hope it will go well. So as you can see, we got just an error of 0.51. We can go for it, or you can also again click filter tracks and just decrease the number. If you want to make it very small in number, I'm just gonna go for something like that, which got 5 problematic of them. I'm just gonna increase it with 3. I'm gonna delete those 3, and I'm gonna re-click solve camera motion, and it will do all the job again. And let's see what we get again, and I hope you will not get the huge error that we just caught. We're going to wait for these. So okay, I was talking about After Effects. Yeah, After Effects does a good job, but I tried it first and it wasn't good, and it was not doing the way I want it to be. Like if I want to add an object that is a 2D comp or a fire or smoke, then I can use After Effects. But for this scenario, we're gonna add 3D objects which have to obey the same, and the lens must be the same as the footage is. So that's why I thought Blender will be perfect. Okay, so we got a huge error. I don't know why do we get this, and I don't care about it. How to reconstruct or something. So what I'm going to do, I'm just gonna turn this off, and I'm gonna go for something like where is we're gonna select frames that have a high parallax. So I think it's 80 and 180, 80 and 180. I'm gonna select those two frames. Okay, so 170, that's fine. Solve camera motion and see what's going to happen. And as you can see, we got an error of 0.39, and now we just need to assign what we wanted, origin and floor. Now it's time. I'm going to set up this one, and this is going to be the origin. As you can see, it disappeared, load the video into the background, and we need to increase the opacity of the video, clipping of the shot. That. I'm just gonna do this, and as you can see, it's not oriented the way we want. So I'm gonna select 3 of the frames. So click these 3 of them and click floor, and I think that's the one is the perfect one. I'm gonna select these and set it as an x-axis or maybe y-axis, or this one. I don't really know which one is the perfect one to set up. Okay, I think that one is fine, and let me just go into general layout and go to camera. And now right now we are going to go for camera to view, and we're gonna rotate it slightly. I'm gonna click or to rotate it, and okay, why it's not rotating the way we want. I'm just gonna click or to rotate. Oh, it's moving around, and I don't know what to do. Let me just fix it. So as you can see, it's now fixed, and if we play it, let me just scale up the ground so you will be able to see it. And if we play it, it's perfectly sticking into the ground, and this is what we want. Okay, so let me just move it like that, and it working perfectly. If we play it, as you can see, it's working perfectly. You just need to fix up the first angle of the shot manually, as I did, because it was just moving randomly. But I just set it up and it's working fine. Okay, so as you can see, this is the man footage, and I have found a 3D model in Sketchfab, which is this football model. I thought it will be great because it's very detailed. So I will also put the link in the description to the same model. Let's just import that model. I have downloaded it in GLB format. So as you can see, it's imported, and now it's very small because the camera is far away. First, let me just scale it up so you will be able to see. But before doing anything else, let me just hide these and add a plan so we will be able to see where is the ground. So let me just add a plan and scale it up like that. And if you play it, as you can see, it's going well. Let me just turn this on, the igosphere. As you can see, we can now see where is the surface. So let me just move it up to the surface. You can scale it up slightly like that, and then you can move it up like that. And if you play it, it's actually sticking into the scene, which is pretty nice. So now it's time to animate it. So it's pretty easy to get animated. Well, what we're going to do, we're gonna burst. I don't know what to say, which word is good for these, but I hope you understand me. This will disappear in just one frame, and so many of the football will burst and come out of this football, and it will spread around, which we want. So first of all, we're gonna scale this up, so we will have a huge plan, and we're gonna move these on these axes. Maybe we can slightly rotate it on the z-axis like that, and maybe we can move it on y-axis. Let me just scale it on x-axis like that. Have a go, and let me just rotate it on that axis, something like this. Okay, I think I'm gonna scale it down slightly so we will have a room for other ball to get burst. I don't know what to call it, but I hope I'm right. Okay, so as you can see, we now have to animate it. So in order to do it, and let me just duplicate this object by you can click Shift D to duplicate it, but I'm holding mic in my left hand and holding mouse in my right hand, so that's why I can't move to my keyboard. So I have to do everything with my mouse, so sorry for that. Let me just duplicate it by clicking right and then duplicate object and move it to the side like that. Let me just scale it down slightly. Okay, so first of all, you gotta go to modifier, and you have to select this second football, go to modifier and add a decimate modifier, make it 0.4, and then apply the modifier. Okay, its name is icosphere.002. Now select the main football and go to the particle system. Let me just add a new particle, it's emitter, and first of all change the ending frame to 1, and then we're gonna change faces to volume, and scroll down, go to render and change it to object, and then select the icosphere 2. If we go to wireframe, and let me just go to the first frame, as you can see there are some little sphere, icosphere, or whatever you want to call it, inside the man football. If I scale this up, as you can see, okay, this is what we want. You can increase the number to something like 5,000 as I did. Okay, and you can also just slightly decrease the size, maybe, so they not overlap each other, and that's fine. Now go to modifier and click make instances real. Okay, so now it converted the particle system into a real object. So what you gotta do, you're gonna select the main igosphere and just remove the particle system like that, and also the second one. delete it if you want. And now what we have so many of little football inside that huge ball. So what you gotta do, you're gonna select all of those little small, whatever you want to call it, footballs, and move it to a new collection. So this is the first one, which is Igonre 003. Select it and scroll down to the end. We have 5,000 of them. Just click left and shift, I think, and then it will select all of them like that. And now click new collection. I'm gonna name it something like little ball or whatever you want to call it. Little balls, okay, enter and hit okay. So it's very heavy right now. What I'm going to do, now what I want, let me just deselect all of those. If you play it, as you can see, it's fluently going. So I want that the man football get disappeared when the video reaches the middle point, or 110. I want that the man football get disappeared and those little dudes burst. I don't know, am I using a good word or not? Let me know in the comment. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to select the man football. Here we go. Let me just slightly get it up like that. And I'm going to stay on this render icon and hit I to animate it. As you can see, it turned yellow. And I will go one frame forward and turn this off and then hit I to animate this. Now, what will happen in the render, it will not be shown after 110th frame, and this is what we want. And then after that, when it get disappeared, what it's going to do is going to scale up, because let me just make it clear for you. Go to 110 frame and hit I, add a keyframe for scale, okay, and then go to 111, scale this up like that. Maybe you can go to wireframe to see what's happening. Solid view, let me just go inside. Okay, I think I have to scale it slightly up and then hit I and add a scale, keyframe. Okay, so frame 1, frame 100, sorry, frame 110, frame 111. Okay, so why I'm doing this, let me explain to you. So first of all, we're gonna give this football a physics which is called a rigid body, and we're gonna make it a passive object. Okay, and then what we are going to do, we are going to select all of those little objects that we created, the first object, and we'll add a rigid body. We are going to make it an active object, and okay, let me select all of them by clicking this new collection and select object. It will select all of the objects in the collection, and then come up to object and make it a rigid body and add an active. Now it's likely going to blow your PC up, but we have to do it. We have to deal with it. Okay, so now select this plane and go to physics, click rigid body and make it a passive object also. I hope we have perfectly done it. Let me just save it. And now it's time to bake it, because I think the overall simulation is done, and now it's time to bake it. So let me just go to these scene tab, or I don't know, and go to rigid body world and cache and bake all dynamics. Now it's going to take ages, so I just restarted my laptop, and then it was at the same place as it was. The huge problem is we have so many objects. If you have a good system, just bake it. But if you don't have a good system like me, you have to delete some of them, because there are a lot and I don't want them to be like that. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to left 1000 of them and then delete the rest of them. I'm going to select this from here, go all the way down to 5002. I selected this shit and hit it X. Hmm. It's likely going to be deleted like that. As you can see, it's still, you know, I hope the other will be calculated. So again, hope for the best, hit Control S, and then move on to the cache tab in the scene tab, going up to rigid body world and big old dynamics. I hope it's gonna work out this time. Okay, so I figure out why they're moving apart. Well, the main reason is because first we gotta select all of those objects and we're gonna make it slightly smaller like that, and then move it up slightly, scale these down and change these to individual origins, and then again scale it down slightly. Maybe we can move it up. Okay, so the reason is what I'm just gonna move it slightly up. Okay, so I'm going to physics tab, rigid body, make it a passive, and change it to something like a mesh. Okay, change it to mesh. They're already active. Okay, so go to this scene tab and again save the file as usual and back all dynamics. And this time, inshallah, it's gonna work, and we're going to hope for the best. Let's see. So now the back is done, and let's see. Let me just hide this plan and see what's going to happen if we play it. Okay, yeah, it's looking the same way as we are expecting them to be. That's fine, and I think we just need to set up some final rendering setting. Let me just turn on the plan. Oh, I am having two plans. Let me just delete one of it. Okay, this plan, this is going to be a shadow catcher. So let me just go to first we're gonna change the rendering engine to cycles, then we're gonna make it a GPU compute, we're gonna make it a denoise, we're gonna make the samples to something like 50, and then what we're going to do, we're gonna go to film and make it transparent, and then go to the object data of the plan and make the visibility to shadow catcher, and now it will not be visible in the screen, you know. Okay, so if you go to material view, we will have material on this football. Let me just save the file first, then we can move on to the hdri or lighting. So let me just go to render. As you can see, it doesn't look the same way as we want it to be. If we move further and if we hide these objects, as you can see, they move down like that. Yeah, you can make it dense if you want. If you just as you can see, they are very lazy number. You can increase the number if you want, but you have a great idea on how things works. So we're gonna need an hdri for this job. So I found an hdri from Polyheaven. I will download it and I will also put the link in the description for you people to use the same hdri. So let's use it and see what we can do with it. So first I'm going to move this hdri to somewhere where I do have my other files. Okay, so now it's time to grab this hdri from this world tab, go to open, and we're gonna open this hdri and let's see what we get. And I think we have a perfect lighting going on. Okay, now it's time to set up some compositing settings. So go to compositor. As you can see, we have so many stuff going on. Delete okay, first we gotta go to layout and we're going to delete this background one, delete it, and also delete this background layer. So we just have a foreground. Go to compositing, delete one of it and also some of the nodes in between these. Okay, so now what we just have left with these 4 nodes. I'm gonna add an alpha over node like that, and I'm going to just meet these two to those images, and we're gonna connect this to composite and this to image. And let me just render out an image so we can see what is going on. So let's render it out. It's going to take some time, and let's wait for these to get it done. Okay, so we just have a 50 of the samples. Okay, so as you can see, it's perfectly composite, but I think the football is likely looking very bright. So in order to make it perfect, we're gonna need to decrease the amount of the strength of the hdri, and that's perfect. So that was for today. If you want to get more like that, just hit this red button down there, like it, share it with your friend, and do a comment. It will be good, and I will answer all of your questions if you do have. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned to the next one.